Astrius is so strong, it's not really a question of should you pull. The real question is, why would Astrius pick a Saria account like yours anyway? So if you'd like to pull Astrius before Pity on Wednesday, then comment down below why your account is even good enough for him. And if you do, I'll put in a good word for you. Some of you are thinking, that's pretty funny, Mysidia, nice little bit to open up the video. I'm dead serious. Like, Astrius wouldn't be caught dead on some of your accounts. But I digress. Let's talk about the should you pull element of this video, because that's why you're here. And if you want to get around the video, if you want to navigate, you can use the chapters in the video bar down below. We're going to talk pros, we're going to talk cons, and I'll put them both up on the screen, and now I'm going to use the editor to make it just the pros, and there's a lot of pros. Astrius is very, very strong, and we're going to compare him to not just other attacking units, but like tanky units and non-tanky units, and kind of see how he gets it all. He gets everything. They gave him everything. So the first thing is high accuracy, which is pretty amazing because he has a 100% hit already, but they also just gave him very high accuracy, and we'll look at how high it is later on. But he also has all this utility. He's got re-raise to spell. He's got 100% hits. He has a defense break. He has a barrier break. He even has some status effects that he can rely on as well. And then he also gets, because everybody gets courage. I mean, you have to mention that every time. Everybody gets courage, but he also has good resists. He's got high HP. He has slash resist up on a buff on his, he has it on a passive and he has on an active skill. This is also going to raise him and his allies HP, and then like restore your HP to that level. And then just in general, he can absorb HP or damage that he deals as HP, so he has a tanky element to him as well. As a damage dealer, it's very easy to get a lot of defense penetration on him. Slash resist penetration is a little bit harder, but it's still better than a lot of different units because it's actually on his kit. It's an active buff that he can use. And then he also has missile and non-type damage as well. So there's different ways that he can deal damage, and he can get around certain defenses. His LB also imperils slash resistance, and it bestows a Noctis Armiger-like ability that will deal damage after the attack. This is actually quite powerful. When we looked at Noctis's ability, it was scaled off of magic stat. This one is scaled off of the attack stat, which allows it to deal way more damage because he can build a higher attack stat than Noctis could build a magic stat. It was a lot harder to find cons for Astrius, I'm not gonna lie to you, but I did pick out a few. First is that he's weak to strike. That's not really that big of a deal. There's not that many strike units out. Queen is the one that you probably want to watch out for. The slash resist penetration is not innate, and I'm getting pretty picky, but I think that it kind of ties into the next thing, which is it's difficult to use all of his TP skills because he has a bunch of team buffs. He has solo buffs. You want him to use courage. You want him to use his slash resist, his HP up. Potentially, it's pretty good, right? But then he also has this accuracy up slash resistance penetration up. He has a spirit up attack up buff. He has his target share on his sniper sub. So he has a lot of buffs that you want to use. And even though he has AP consumption down, you still might want bells on him or some sort of AP generation, something to help him out with that, or some sort of TMR skill in general. So when we look at the fact that he's got to use a team skill and then a courage and then maybe another team skill, you have to be quite streamlined with your AI. It's going to take some practice to get that down right. Now, that's a good problem to have too many TP skills to use, so it's not exactly a con, but it is something to keep in mind, because if you're somebody that just hates bothering with all of that, then I mean, maybe that's going to turn you off, but don't let it turn you off because Astrius is too good. I've got two sets of comparisons for Astrius. The first one is to Duane and Terra, because those are two very bulky attackers. Duane is kind of a pseudo tank, but he's more towards attacker than tank in my opinion. But he has some good bulkiness. I've got his stats here that include him using his passive that increases his resistance and defense, because I think that in this scenario, you're going to be using those. So when we take a look at Astrius and we take a look at Duane and Terra, what you end up seeing here is that Astrius has the comparable level of HP. He has the comparable resistance stats. Like, he doesn't have anything that's as high as we're going to see with Duane, although his slash resist will go up to 22% if you put Astrius's passive on. I don't know if that's the passive you're going to use, but basically what we're seeing here is he gets the bulkiness of these two units, but he gets the 100% hit. He gets the high accuracy. Like, look, his accuracy is 188%. And then you compare that to Duane at 157 and Terra at 150, you can see where he's actually going to be much easier to build towards accuracy. He also gets accuracy on his sub skill with the slash resist penetration, so that will bump him even higher. He has a luck passive that he can equip if you want to have even more accuracy, so he's going to be really easy to build that way. He doesn't have the shortcomings of some of these tanky units. One of the biggest ones is the agility, right? So you see his agility is 68, and then Duane 62, Terra 60. So he's getting the bulk, but he's keeping the speed, he's keeping the accuracy, all the stuff that other units might lose. Now we can also compare him to more pure attackers, and he looks really good. So when we look at Cloud and Locke, he's still just as strong as them. He can build up penetrations just like they can. He's matching them with agility. He's comparable in accuracy, and he really doesn't miss any of the utility that these attackers get, because these attackers get either they get really high raw damage, and or they get some sort of utility. And like we already talked about, Astrius has a bunch of utility, but he still has the survivability of those bulky units, and he can one-up some of those bulky units because he has 2 uses of courage. So even if when you look at Terra, she's got 1 use, he's got 2. When you look at Locke, who's got re-raise, and Cloud, who just has reflex. Really, that's Cloud's kind of claim to fame, is that reflex. You can kind of see how that Astrius ends up getting everything, because just pause the video, look at the stats here, go look at the stats on the other comparison, and see for yourself. We're gonna go right to the should you pull on this one. Not a lot to say, because you should just pull Astrius. He's absolutely that good. It doesn't matter if you have a water account, if you have a rainbow account. Now, if you're wondering what I'm gonna be doing, I'm not going to be pulling for him because I want to pull for other units, so I have to save my Viz. Is that a mistake on my part? That's probably a mistake. It's probably a mistake that I'm making, but you don't have to make that mistake, because he really is that good. If you put him in a rainbow team, he's still going to be so strong, and he can benefit from rainbow VCs. He could benefit from having a few water VCs on him. And if your water account is weak, which mine is, right? My water box is super weak. He's going to be the start of a really good water box for you. And so when I'm not pulling for him, it doesn't mean that I think I see something, that there's something better to spend my Viz on. It's literally a personal choice of me wanting to save for other things, and probably being too cool for school and not wanting to be with the herd. But that's really dumb, first of all, and 2, come on, you should pull for Astrius. So basically, it's impossible to go wrong pulling for him. You won't regret it. That's a Mysidia guarantee. Alright, that's going to be it for this video. Hope it was useful for you. Let me know what you thought in the comments down below. And if you haven't yet, please consider subscribing to the channel so that you can support me in all my Mysidia-ness. Otherwise, we'll see you all in the next video.